So, good morning, everyone. In fact, it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Girls, please confirm
Good
voice is audible.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Good afternoon.
afternoon,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Now, listen to
Good
me
afternoon, ma'am.
carefully. We have just
Good
begun.
afternoon,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon. Very good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. So, we have just started with the. So, we have just started with the chapter number 5 from history portion, that is the print culture and the modern world. Meanwhile, I request all of you to please videos and the girls who have just joining, please rename yourself. When Jivika Jan 40 is here, please rename yourself. So it will be easy for me to recognize who you are. And please put on your videos. Let me see what you are doing, whether you are studying or not. Please. This is my request to all of you. So we have seen the earliest kind of print technology was developed in China, Japan, and Korea. Then we have seen from 594 AD, that is 6th century onwards, books in China were printed by rubbing paper against the inked surface of wood blocks. It was known as the woodblock printings. Then we have studied the print culture in China, the print culture in Japan, and print culture in Europe. In print culture in China, we have studied that Shanghai became the printing hub of the new print culture in China. And when it comes to Japan, we have seen the only Japanese book was Buddhist Diamond Sutra. And when it comes to Japan, Tokyo was the print in and later printing press was most of the European countries between 1450 to 850. Now take up page number 111. The print revolution and its impact. So, the print revolution was not just a way of printing books. It transformed lives of people, changing the relationship to information and knowledge, and with institutions and authorities. I repeat, just read the first para. So, what was a print revolution? It was not just a way of producing books, producing text, producing words. It was just a transformation of people, changing their relationship to information and knowledge, and with institutions and authorities. Now, the new reading public. With the printing press, a new reading public emerged as printing reduced the cost of books. There was a large number of people who could not read but could enjoy listening to books being read out because they were illiterate. They were not literate. To satisfy their needs, printers began publishing popular ballads and folk tales, pictures, and exchange the news. Now, what about religious debates and the fear of print? So, innovation of printing culture created the possibility of wide circulation of ideas and introduced a new world of debate and discussion. It was feared that if there was control over what was printed and read out, ideas might spread. If that happened, the authority valuable literature would be destroyed. This anxiety was expressed by the religious authorities amongst writers. So I repeat, our next topic is religious debates and the fear of print. So, innovation of printing culture created the possibility of wide circulation of ideas and introduce a new technology in the world of debates and discussion. It was said by some scholars and educators that If there was no control over what was printed and read, then rebellious ideas might spread. If that happened, the authority of valuable literature would be destroyed. So the anxiety was expressed by the religious authorities, monarchs, writers, and the artisans. In 1517, the religious reform, Martin Luther wrote 95 theses criticizing many of the practices and the rituals of the Roman Catholic Church. His writings were immediately reproduced in vast numbers and read widely. It led to the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. Print and the popular religious literature stimulated many distinctive individual interpretations of the faith even among the little educated working people. Underline this line. In the 16th century, Menocchio, a miller in Italy, reinterpreted the message of the Bible, but his interpretation made the Roman Catholic Church angry. When the Roman Catholic Church began its inquisition to impress heretical ideas, Menocchio was executed. Then the Roman Church imposed several controls over publishers and booksellers. And underline this line, this para is very, very important. Erasmus, a Latin scholar and a Catholic reformer, expressed a deep anxiety about the printing, the print culture in the modern world in the encyclical. So, next is here the reading mania, topic number 4. In the 17th and the 18th centuries, the literacy rates went up in most parts of Europe. Churches of different denominations set up different schools in villages and in urban areas, carrying literacy to peasants and the artisans. By the end of 18th century, people wanted to read books, and printers produced books in the large numbers. So instead of new technology, the new forms of literature, page 114, second para. So the new forms of popular literature appeared in the print, targeting the new audience. Peddlers roamed around villages, carrying little books of different interests for sale. There was a ritual calendars along with the ballads and the folk tales. In England, penny chapbooks, penny means small. In England, penny chapbooks were sold for a penny, so that even the poor could buy them. In France, the Bibliothèque Bleue were low-priced books printed on poor quality paper and bound in cheap blue covers. The discoveries of the Isaac Newton and the writings of the thinkers like Thomas Paine, Voltaire, and the Jean-Jacques Rousseau were widely printed and read. So now let's see what is the power of the books. What was the power of the book in Europe in the 19th century? In the mid 18th century, a lot of people believed that books could change the world, liberate society from despotism, and make a society which could be ruled by reason and intellect. So now next is your 4.2, print culture and the French Revolution. So in this para we'll see what was the effect of print culture on the French Revolution. So in the mid 18th century, we have seen a lot of people believe that the books could change the world and liberate society from despotism, that make a society which would be ruled by reasons and intellect. So next question is, what was the effect of French culture and French Revolution? So many historians believe that they have argued that the print culture created a conditions for French Revolution from Three types of argument and solution to the first argument. Print tolerance is the idea of writer thinkers. The writers provide critical commentary on tradition, superstition, and literature. Here, the historical flows at the first argument for place of ideas of writing it values, norms, and institutions were re-evaluated and And thirdly, by the year 1780s, there was an outpouring of literature, especially cartoons and caricatures that mocked the royalty and criticized their morality. Morality. So three things. These are the three types of arguments that have been usually forward by the many historians that believe that print culture created the conditions within the French Revolution. So the first condition was they believed print popularized the idea of lighter thinkers and the writings of the thinkers, Snyder's thinkers, writers. It provided a critical commentary on tradition, on superstition, and on the despotism. Secondly, the historians believe that they have argued that print created a new culture of dialogue and debate. All values, all norms, and institutions were re-evaluated and discussed by the public. Thirdly, by the year 1780s, there was an outpouring of literature, special cartoons and caricatures that mocked the royalty and criticized their morality. This was all about the print culture in Europe in the 8th century and the mid 18th century, wherein we have seen reading mania, wherein we have seen the new middle class, the new class emerge in terms of the target audience. Then we have shifted to the print culture and the print revolution. Now the next topic is the 19th century. So look, the 19th century saw in mass literacy in Europe, bringing in a large number of new readers, children, women, and workers. As primary education became compulsory from the late 19th century, children became an important category of readers. Underline these first three lines. What the first three lines says, as the primary education became compulsory from the late 19th century, children became an readers, as well as the writers. Even the penny magazines was especially meant for women, as these were full of essays about proper behaviors, etiquettes, well manners, and the housekeeping. Some of the best known women novelists were Jane Austen, George Eliot, and the Bronte sisters. In the 19th century, lending libraries, underline the line girls, in the 19th century, lending libraries in England became instruments for educating white collar workers, artisans, and the lower middle class people. Now, what happened to the children's press? Now we have just done about the women's. Now the children's press. The Grimm brothers in Germany spent years for compiling traditional folk tales from peasants and stories. And these stories, these folk tales were published in the year 1812. Underline the date, it was published in the year 1812. The children's press was set up in France 1850, in the year 1857 and which published fairy tales and folk tales for children. So print cultures catered to the needs of children, women, and workers also. When it comes to women, women became an important readers as well as the writers. For women, special magazines were printed, and these were full of essays about the proper behavior and housekeeping. When it comes to children, the Grimm brothers in Germany, they spent years in compiling the traditional folk tales from peasants and published their stories in the year 1812. The children's press was set up in France in the year 1813 to publish fairy tales printing. By the mid 19th century, Richard M. Hoe underlined. By the mid 19th century, Richard M. Hoe of New York had perfected the power-driven cylindrical press. Underline this line, which could press 8,000 sheets per hour. Look at the technology, the drastic change in technology. What happened in the mid 19th century? Rich M. Ho of New York, he had perfected a power-driven cylindrical press which could print 8,000 sheets per hour. Is what particularly used for printing newspapers. In the 19th century, the offset press was developed which could print up to 6 colors at a time. So now what are strategies of selling all these books to women, to children and to the workers? Some new strategies to sell books were incorporated in the 19th century. These were periodicals with serialized novels, cheap shilling sales, newspapers and full of print and print mania. I have unmuted everyone. Just tell me, girls, it is clear. These two topics are clear. Speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice was
Good, dear.
not clear.
Now, the next topic. How in Europe, we have seen how to the needs of children, women, and the workers. Now let's move to India. Let's see before the age of print, what happened in India, India and the world of print. How the people of India, how Indians welcome the print culture. Let's see, page number 190. Print culture and the modern world. India and the world of print. Before the age of print, ideas and information were in written form. Before the age of print, ideas and information were in written form. India had a very rich and ancient tradition of handwritten manuscripts in Sanskrit, Arabic, and Persian, as well as in various vernacular languages. Vernacular means local languages. These manuscripts were copied on palm leaves or on handmade paper. Manuscripts were highly expensive and got damaged easily. They had to be handled carefully and were not widely used in everyday life. So manuscripts were highly expensive and fragile. They had to be handled carefully and they could not be read easily as scripts were written in different styles. So manuscripts were not widely used in everyday life, even though the pre-colonial Bengal developed an extensive network of village primary school students very often did not read the text. For them, they only learned to write. Teachers on their behalf, they dictated the text from the memory and students wrote down them. So many thus become literate without ever actually reading any kinds of text. Now let's see what happens when print came to India. The first printing press, underline this line, the first printing press came to Goa in Portuguese in the mid 16th century. Jesuit priest learned Konkani and printed several books. About 50 books had been printed in Konkani and Kannada languages. In the year 1674, underline this line, goes line number 3. The line number 3 says about 50 books had been printed in Konkani and Kannada languages in the year 74. Catholic priests printed the first Tamil book in the year 1579 in Cochin. And in 1713, the first Malayalam book was printed. In 1710, Dutch Protestant missionaries had printed 32 Tamil books. So you have seen in the first para only, the first printing press came to Goa with the Portuguese missionaries, and later on, slowly and steadily, all began to set up the printing press. Now the contribution of next para is the contribution of James Oxensticky to this from 1770s. From 1780s, Bengal Gazette, underline the first line. Bengal Gazette, a weekly English magazine, was edited by James Oxton Hickey. He published a lot of gossip about the company senior officials. Now, the Governor General Warren Hastings prosecuted him. By the end of 18th century, a number of newspapers and journals began to publish. The first was a weekly Bengali newspaper, Bengal Gazette. Underline this line, brought out by the Gangadhar Bhattacharya in 1780, who was close to Raja Mohan Roy. The second para, under Pitt Comes to India, talks about the role of Oxton, the roles of James Oxton Hickey. He published a lot of gossip about the company officials in the Bengal Gazette. So the Governor General Warren Hastings him. So by the end of 18th century, a number of newspapers and journals began to publish. This first weekly Bengali newspaper, that was Bengal Gazette, brought out by the Gangadhar Bhattacharya in the year 1780, who was close to Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now, what happened to the religious reforms and public debates in India? From the early 19th century, the religious debates were carried out in public and in print. Printed tracts and newspapers spread the new ideas, shaped the nature of the debate, and it was a time of intensive controversies between social and religious reforms and Hindu Orthodox people over the matters of widow immolation, monotheism, and Brahmanical priesthood and idol worship. Raja Ram Mohan Roy underlined the second para. Raja Ram Mohan Roy published the Sanchar Chandrika in the year 1821, and the Hindu Orthodox commissioned the Sanchar Chandrika to oppose his views. In North India, let's talk about the North India. In North India, the Deoband Seminary was found in the year 1861, which published thousands of fatwas telling the Muslims के लिए fatwa जारी होता है. Fatwa क्या होता है बेटा? It's a legal pronouncement on Islamic law usually given by a mufti. Mufti कौन होता है? Is a head of legal scholar to clarify issues which requires the law which is uncertain. So, in North India, the Debonan Seminary was founded in 1867, which published thousands of fatwas telling the Muslims how to conduct their everyday life and explain the meaning of Islamic doctrines. From the year 1880s, the Naval Kishore Press at Lucknow and Sri Venkateshwar Press writing. Besides novels, besides articles, besides literature, literally forms like lyrics, short stories, short tales, essays about social and political matters entered the world of reading. people started showing their interest in various forms of literature, from literally forms like lyrics, short stories, short poems, and essays, which shows about the social political matters and entered the world of women. At the end of the 17th century, a new visual culture was shaped. Painters like Raja Ravi Verma, underline this line, painters like Raja Ravi Verma produced images for mass circulation. Even poor could easily buy the calendars and cheap frames for the decoration of his houses, for their houses and offices. Let's look at the figure number 17. Raja Ritu rescuing Princess Madalsa from the captivity of demons, printed by Ravi Verma. This painting was printed by Raja Ravi Verma. He produced innumerable mythological paintings that were printed at the Ravi Verma press. So what happened to the life of the women when it comes to print? So liberal husbands and fathers began educating their women folk at home and sent them to school. After the mid-19th century, women's schools were set up in the cities and the towns. Many journals began carrying the life of the writings of the women and explain why women should be educated. So many women contributed to the print culture, and the prominent among them were Sundari Devi, Kailash Dashni Devi, Tarabai Shinde, and Panditabai, the Begum Koira Shekhawat Hossain. Let's read their contribution in the field of printing when it comes to women. The first one was the Rashundari Devi. In East Bengal, Rashundari Devi, a young married girl in a very orthodox family, learned to read in the secrecy of her kitchen. She wrote the autobiography Amjivan in the 1876. Next, the prominent women writer was Kailash Vashni Devi. From the year 1860, some Bengali women like Kailash Vashni Devi highlighted the experience of women, that is, how they were imprisoned ignorance, forced to do hard domestic work and labor, and treated unjust. Thirdly, Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai. In the year 1880, women's writers like Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai rights of women, widows, like the Begum Roke Shekhawat Hussain. In the year 2000, 1926, famous educationalist and literary figure Begum Rokeya Shekhawat Hussain disapproved men for withholding education from women in the name of religion. So, the languages like Urdu, Tamil, Bengali, and Marathi, print culture also developed. Later, Hindi print culture started seriously from 1817. In the early 20th century, many journals edited by women discuss about women's education, widowhood, widow remarriage, significance of national movement, etc. So in Punjab, Ram Chadha published the fast-selling Istri Dharam Vichar to teach women how to be an obedient wife. So what happens to books for the women? The Khalsa Tract Society published cheap booklets with a similar message. Batala was an area in central Calcutta. It published various types of popular books, including novels and religious scripture. These books were very cheap and illustrated with woodcuts and colored lithographs and popular among housewives. Now, print and the poor people. In Madras, towns of 19th century, very cheap small books were brought to markets and sold at crossroads. So the poor people could purchase them easily. Some public libraries were set up in the early 20th century in cities and towns and sometimes in prosperous villages. Now, print and the casteism. From the late 19th century, issue of caste discrimination began to be written in many printed tracts and essays. The social reformers like Jyotibai Phule wrote about the injustice of the class struggle in Gandhi. Underline the date, the year 1857. The book was Gulamgiri. Better this question comes for the MCQs in the board exam. In the pre-boards, it can also come. Yeah, it can be like this. Jyotiba Phule, who wrote the book Gulamgiri in the year 1817? Who wrote Jyotiba Phule? In the 20th century, B.R. Ambedkar and E.V. Ramaswamy Nekar wrote about casteism, and their writings were read by people all over the India. Kashi Baba, Kanpur mill worker, look at page number 126. Wrote published छोटे और बड़े के सवाल लास्ट पर अंडरलाइन लाइन नंबर 3 but Kashi Baba Kanpur mill worker and published board passed certain regulations to control press freedom. In the year 1835, Governor General Bentinck faced urgent petitions by editors of the English and vernacular newspapers. He agreed to revise press laws. Thomas Macleay, official, formulated new rules that restored the earlier freedoms. Press after revolt of 1857. What happened to the press? Just read the last para, second and the third para. Began debating measures of strict control. In the year 1888, underline the fifth line. In the year 1878, the Vernacular Press Act was passed, underline, which provided the government with extensive rights to censor reports and editorials in the vernacular press. So despite these repressive measures, many nationalist newspapers grew in all parts of India. They reported colonial misrule and encouraged nationalist activism. One was Kesari. The Kesari, when Punjab revolutionaries were reported in 1907, Bal Gangadhar Tilak wrote with a great sympathy about them in his Kesari. So, despite repressive measures, many nationalist newspapers grew up in all parts of India. They reported colonial misrule and encouragement nationalist activities. This in turn led to the renewed cycle of persecutions and protests. Bal Gangadhar Tilak wrote with great sympathy about the Punjab revolutionaries who reported expelled in 1907 in his newspaper Kesari. This led to the imprisonment in the year 1908. Then it provoked the widespread protest all over the India. This was all about the second half was all about the print culture in India, how people reacted in India when print culture came in the country, wherein we have studied the manuscript before the age of print, where we have seen there was a tradition of handwritten manuscripts in Sanskrit, Arabic, and Persian. We have seen the first printing press came to Goa with the Portuguese missionaries, and later on, various literate writers, printing machineries, printing press in India. We have seen the contribution of James Oxton Hickey in the Bengal Gazette and the public debates and religious reform we have studied. We have seen the women. We have studied the the contribution of the women, the prominent women in the print culture. These were Ashundari Devi, Kailash Bashini Devi, Tarabai Shinde, and the Pandita Ramabai. The fourth one was the Begum Roke Shekhawat Hussain. We have shifted to the women education and the and the last chapter, the topic was print and censorship. wherein we have seen the Vernacular Press Act was passed in the year 1770. Government with extensive rights to censor reports and editorials in the vernacular press. So today we have completed this chapter. In tomorrow's class, that is at 9:30, we will again repeat the chapter. We again revise the chapter and we will do the textual parts. All the textual parts along with the discussion part tomorrow. So just do one, read the chapter thoroughly again. Any doubt, please let me know tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a doubt clearing session along with a revision of the term 1 syllabus. We'll discuss right from the chapter 1 to 3 we have discussed. We will discuss chapter 4 of history, the age of industrialization. Along with the textual part question of this chapter. So girls, any doubt into, I will send you the recorded videos. Please see the recorded videos. To some girls it was not audible, it was not clear. So please see to it. You go to the YouTube channel of the school and watch the video. Any doubt in today's class, beta? I've unmuted everyone. You can speak up. Unmute yourself and speak. Any doubt in today's class?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Once
No, ma'am.
voice was clear, listen to me. Some network issues might be there from your end. After this class, I will send you the recorded videos, or just do one thing. Read the chapter thoroughly, one by one, page by page, and we'll discuss the textual part tomorrow along with the revision of chapter number 4, age of industrialization. So any doubt in today's class, beta?
No, ma'am.
Any doubt, please let me know. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No,
Don't
ma'am.
leave.
No, ma'am.
Don't leave. Let me take your attendance. Bhavya 15. Makshi is there. Katrina. Okay. Rahi Singh, Rakshita Thapa, Anshika Verma, Arzu. Okay, dear. So I'm ending this class. God bless you all. Take care, bache.
Thank you, ma'am.